In San Francisco, pharmaceutical chemist Will Rodman tests the viral-based drug ALZ-112 on chimpanzees at the biotechnology company Genesis to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. ALZ-112 is given to a chimpanzee named Bright Eyes, greatly increasing her intelligence. However, during Will's presentation for the drug, Bright Eyes is forced from her cage, goes on a rampage, and is shot to death. Will's superior, Stephen Jacobs, terminates the project and has the chimpanzees euthanized. However, Will's assistant, Robert Franklin, reveals that the reason for Bright Eyes' rampage was that she had recently given birth. Will reluctantly takes in the infant chimpanzee, eventually naming him Caesar. Discovering that Caesar has inherited his mother's intelligence through being exposed to ALZ-112, Will decides to raise him. 3 years pass, Caesar becomes highly intelligent. He can communicate through sign language. Will begins a romantic relationship with primatologist Caroline. Will and Caroline introduce Caesar to the Redwood Forest at Muir Woods National Monument so he can roam. Meanwhile, Will treats his father, Charles, with ALZ-112, which seems to restore his cognitive ability. 5 years later, Caesar, now entering adulthood, questions his origins and place in the world. Charles's condition returns as his immune system becomes resistant to ALZ-112. Caesar injures an aggressive neighbour, Douglas Hunsaker, while defending a confused Charles. The local animal control subsequently takes him to an ape shelter. Caesar is tormented by the alpha chimpanzee, Rocket, and the chief guard, Dodge Landon. However, Caesar befriends Maurice, a former circus orangutan, who also knows sign language. Caesar learns to unlock his cage, gaining free access to the common area. With the assistance of Buck, a gorilla, Caesar claims the position of Alpha. Meanwhile, Jacobs clears the development of a more powerful gaseous version of the drug, the ALZ-113, when Will tells him it can improve intelligence. Will takes the drug home to his father, but Charles declines further treatment and dies overnight. After attempting to test the drug on a bonobo named Koba, Franklin accidentally becomes exposed to ALZ-113 and becomes ill. Despite the risks, Jacobs orders continued trials and Will consequently quits his position. Attempting to warn Will at his home, Franklin sneezes blood onto Hunsaker and is later discovered dead. Will attempts to reclaim Caesar, but Caesar instead decides to stay and steals the ALZ-113 canisters from Will's house and enhances the intelligence of the other apes in the shelter. When Dodge attempts to get him back into his cage, Caesar reveals he can speak. He fights with Dodge while freeing the apes, inadvertently killing him. The apes free, releasing Koba and the remaining apes from Genesis, and freeing additional apes from the San Francisco Zoo. A battle ensues as the apes fight their way past a police blockade on the Golden Gate Bridge in an attempt to escape into the Redwood Forest. To rescue Caesar, Buck sacrifices himself to down a helicopter. Koba pushes the helicopter, with Jacob still inside, into the sea. As the apes find their way into the forest, Will finds and warns Caesar that the humans will hunt them, begging him to return home. Caesar hugs him and says he is home. Will accepts Caesar's wishes and the apes embrace their new lifestyle in the forest. Meanwhile, Hunsaker, now infected with ALZ-113, arrives at San Francisco International Airport for his flight. He eventually spreads the virus around the planet, leading to a deadly pandemic. 10 years after the deadly simian flu pandemic, the worldwide human population is drastically reduced, with only about 1 in 500 genetically immune. Human civilization has been destroyed after societal collapse among humans. A colony of apes, all bestowed with genetically enhanced intelligence by the virus, established a colony in the Muir Woods National Monument near San Francisco, led by Caesar, along with his lieutenants Maurice, Rocket, and Koba. A group of humans, led by Malcolm, unknowingly enter the apes' territory in search of a hydroelectric dam that would restore power to their community in San Francisco. Carver, a member of Malcolm's group, injures Ash, Rocket's son, in an unexpected confrontation. Malcolm manages to prevent further escalation, and Caesar orders the humans to leave. Prompted by Koba, Caesar brings his army to the human community as a display of strength. Caesar announces that, while the apes do not want war, they will fight to defend themselves. He demands that the humans stay in their territory. Malcolm convinces Dreyfus, the community's leader, to give him a chance to take a small team to the forest with the mission of reconciling with the apes and accessing the dam. Eventually, Caesar allows them to work on the generator on the condition that they surrender their guns. While working together, Malcolm, his wife Ellie, and his son Alexander bond with the apes. The fragile truce briefly falls apart when Carver is discovered to have kept a hidden gun and is thus forcibly sent away, but trust is restored when Ellie, who is a nurse, saves Cornelia, Caesar's ill wife. Paranoid that the apes may attack, Dreyfus arms the community with the munitions at the Fort Point Armory. Koba, who hates humans for torturing him as a laboratory test subject, discovers the armory and confronts Caesar, accusing him of caring more about humans than apes. Caesar beats Koba in response, but refrains from killing him. Koba later returns to the armory, kills 2 guards, returns home, and secretly kills Carver after the humans succeed in repairing the generator. Koba takes advantage of their celebration to covertly set fire to the ape colony. Unseen by the others, he shoots and seemingly kills Caesar, who falls into the underbrush. Koba frames the humans for Caesar's apparent death and the fire to justify war. Taking command, he leads the ape army to San Francisco, where they plunder the armory and mount a full-scale assault on the humans. Despite taking heavy casualties, the apes breach the building and imprison the humans as Dreyfus flees underground. Koba kills Ash for refusing to kill unarmed humans and imprisons all other apes loyal to Caesar, including Rocket, Maurice, and Luca. Malcolm's family finds a severely wounded Caesar and transports him to his former home in San Francisco. After sneaking back into the settlement to find medical supplies, Malcolm encounters Blue Eyes, Caesar's son. Blue Eyes leaves him alone before learning that his father is still alive and accompanies Malcolm to Caesar. Learning that it was Koba who shot Caesar, Blue Eyes reunites with his father. The trio returns to the community and frees the imprisoned humans and apes. After escorting the apes into the tower, Malcolm finds Dreyfus, who has rigged the base of the tower with C4 and reveals that his men made radio contact with a military base. Malcolm holds Dreyfus and his men at gunpoint to give Caesar enough time to retake command by confronting Koba at the top of the tower. In an attempt to kill all the apes, Dreyfus detonates explosives to destabilize the building, killing himself in the process. Caesar defeats Koba and refuses to help him as he falls to his death. Malcolm warns Caesar of the approaching human military. Believing that the humans will never forgive the apes for their attack, Caesar orders Malcolm to evacuate with his family for safety before the fighting begins. He then addresses the apes as they prepare for the upcoming war. 2 years following the battle in San Francisco, the Alpha Omega human militia searches for Caesar's ape colony, aided by Red and other apes derogatorily called donkeys serving the militia. A platoon assaults an ape outpost, but the apes repel the attack, with only a few attackers surviving. The apes release the human survivors to desire peace, but Red escapes from winter. Caesar's son, Blue Eyes, and Rocket return from their journey to report they found an oasis, a safer home for the colony. The militia's colonel leads a team to infiltrate the colony and kills Cornelia, Caesar's wife, and Blue Eyes, mistaking the latter for Caesar. Cornelius, Caesar's remaining son, managed to survive. Caesar, Rocket, Maurice, and Luca serve as decoys while the tribe journeys to the oasis. Caesar kills a militiaman in self-defense and finds his mute daughter, whom Maurice befriends by giving her a rag doll. The group finds Winter, who admits he told Red where the colony was in exchange for his life. Winter reveals the colonel is heading north, but Caesar kills him when he tries to alert the militia. Along the way to the colonel, Caesar's group discover dead soldiers, and one of the wounded survivors reveals that he is mute like the girl. Caesar's group chases someone who has stolen one of their horses and is surprised to see that he is another intelligent ape named Bad Ape. Bad Ape guides them to a former weapons depot turned quarantine facility in the mountains. A human patrol kills Luca and captures Caesar when they try to get close, discovering his tribe is also captured and forced to build a wall. Caesar deduces that the militia is barricading the facility to fend off other military forces. The colonel reveals that the simian flu virus has mutated, causing infected humans to mentally devolve into primitive animals. He ordered his own troops to kill any carriers before they could infect other people, which led to disagreements with his superiors, who were still searching for a cure. Caesar is tortured and kept starving to force the tribe to work. The mute girl, named Nova by Maurice, sneaks into the facility to feed Rocket. Rocket allows himself to be captured to prevent Nova from being seen, so he and Caesar can formulate a plan to escape. The Colonel later confiscates the doll Nova left for Caesar, but the other apes escape via an underground tunnel. The military forces arrive and attack the facility. Meanwhile, Caesar sneaks into the Colonel's cabin to kill him, but discovers that he has already become mute after handling the doll. Unwilling to kill the Colonel, Caesar allows the Colonel to do it himself. The escaping apes are caught in the crossfire between the militia and the military. Caesar attempts to destroy a fuel tank to take out the militia from behind, but he is fatally shot by Preacher, one of the militiamen he set free. At the sight of apes being gunned down and killed, Red comes to his senses and kills Preacher before being executed by militiamen. Caesar blows the fuel tank and escapes the facility, causing an avalanche that buries the facility and military. Caesar, Nova, and the apes are able to avoid the avalanche by scaling on trees. In the aftermath, the apes leave the facility and journey to the oasis. As the apes and Nova arrive at the oasis, Maurice discovers Caesar's wound and promises that Cornelius will know who Caesar is and what he did for the apes. With the apes safe in their new home, Caesar succumbs to his wounds. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and tell me below what you'd like to see next. I'm going to be releasing brand new recap videos, timeline explained videos, and general lore videos about video games and movies every single week. Multiple videos throughout the week. So please subscribe to Jam Punch and I will see you next time.